Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm speaking with Josh Westover. He has a fantastic new EP on the way. It's called Songs of Reflection, and I'm super excited to talk to him all about it. Josh, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. How are you doing? What's going on?
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm good. I'm all good. Yeah, just just pretty much just finished the CP recently, so it's just nice to finally call it a day and say that it's done. So
Nice. Yeah, I can imagine the actual relief that happens from working on the thing to being like, I think I'm finally finished with it. What is that feeling like? Because just based off my listen, this music is complex. There's a lot that went into it.
thank you. Yeah, it's it is a relief, definitely. It's always a little bit scary, because you've kind of got to get to the point where you need to, let it go, essentially, because otherwise you can just be editing it for forever.
Yeah,
So, so yeah, it's really nice to have it done, and I feel like it, even though it is just a short EP, it feels like a complete piece of work, if you see what I mean. So,
I completely understand. And I feel like most of the artists I get to talk to, there's like a base level perfectionism. Obviously, it's released under your name. People are going to listen to it, and the work reflects you specifically. You're not hiding behind a band name. Does that kind of drive you to not necessarily work more on it, but to pay closer attention in a way?
I guess so. Yeah, it,
Sure.
it it's funny you mentioned that actually, because I have, dabbled with the idea so many times of coming up with like an actual artist name.
Sure.
Um, you know, and I've always kind of thought that I've almost gone with the most boring option in a way.
I
But
disagree, but it's your thing.
yeah, but at the same time, it is very much a reflection of myself, and it is, very much personal work,
Yeah,
and you know, I think very much with this most recent music, I've tried to like lean into that more and make
sure.
it personal, and try to be a bit braver with it in a
Yeah.
way, especially with um, the things that I'm writing about and my lyrics and everything like that. So.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is like I think this music is very interesting in a way because well, the first thing I would say to people before they're gonna listen is listen with a nice pair of headphones. Like there's a lot going on here. But also you didn't really give up on the lyrics. It feels very personal. It feels like you put a lot of thought into that. What are these songs about? Is it one individual story or are you telling, one sort of complete narrative?
Yeah, I mean, the not all the songs were written recently.
Sure.
So there's a song on there called, for example, called Uncertain Circumstances. And I think I started writing that back in about 2016.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so that's a long time ago, I've just
Yeah,
realized.
long time coming.
Yeah. Um, so it was only last year that it turned into like a complete thing.
Sure.
But yeah, it's sorry, I've sort of gone with a bit of tangent. I forgot your question. What was the main bit of your question
No,
there? So
you're all good. The question was basically, these songs are very lyric heavy. Is
yeah,
there one specific story or is it one narrative, spread across the EP?
yeah, sure. So I think there is a narrative there, but as I say, they've come from different places in my life, I
Sure.
suppose. Um, and there's a sense maybe that I am sort of like reflecting on perhaps different experiences that I've had in my life so far.
Sure.
Um, and I think partly, because I'm going to be turning 30 this year as well,
Hmm.
it's sort of like looking back on my 20s kind of
Yeah.
thing, thinking about things that have happened, and also looking ahead and thinking about, you know, like, what my goals are and things like that. And, that is just all accumulated, I suppose, into this piece of work, if that makes sense.
No, I completely understand. Being on the other side of 30, it definitely makes you consider things.
Mm.
And so I'm not surprised you put them into your lyrics here.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I really want to know is like, obviously, again, you operate as a solo artist, but the instrumentation here is incredibly varied. There's so much going on along with the production. So even though you're sort of at the forefront of the name, do you work alone instrumentally?
Uh, yeah, I do.
Damn, nice.
Yeah, yeah. So the only thing that isn't me on the record technically is the drums, basically.
Okay,
But yeah, bass and guitars and obviously the vocals is all
sure.
me. You know, I do produce it myself as well.
Really?
Yeah, so it is literally all me. It all
It's
comes from
insane.
me.
No, that's incredibly impressive. Don't you? I mean, again, I have a lot of conversations with people that sort of outsource their production because for me, production is sort of like speaking another language. You need to learn and constantly learn because these programs are changing. How do you sort of balance everything at once? It seems borderline impossible.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, always, for a long time, had a very deep interest in recording,
Sure.
um, recording music, and you know, when I was learning, when I began learning guitar when I was like 12, it didn't take
Hmm.
very long to get interested in how to actually record myself.
Sure.
And at first, I was just kind of like creating instrumentals and things like that, and then
Yeah.
I started trying to sing, and
Right.
then it just all ballooned from there. So honestly, it's just come from a natural interest, and I try to very much try and keep that within it as well. I try to do it because I genuinely enjoy it. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to think too much about what I'm trying to achieve with it or what I'm trying to get out of it. It all comes, I do my best to have it come from a place where I just love doing it essentially. And
No, I
hopefully,
completely understand.
yeah, and I kind of hope that that reflects in the music in a way that the music seems more genuine in that sense.
Right. I think that's a really good point, and it's actually something I wanted to bring up because um all across all these songs, I won't necessarily say the sound is like this bright, vibrant pop because it's not. I think it's a very like introspective sound, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I guess what comes first in the process? Like, are you a lyrics first person? Do you create the instrumentals first?
Yeah, a lot of it does come from instrumentals first,
Okay.
definitely. Sometimes I will layer up pretty much an entire production
Mhm.
before I even think about, writing lyrics and having
Really?
time.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's in a way I sometimes need that. I need that instrumental backing to have the inspiration for, the lyrics and the melody. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I completely understand. And again, we briefly brushed over it before we started recording about your influences. The moment I read your bio, I was like, oh, I think we might be the same person based off the music that we listen to. So, but I find that difficult because, well, maybe for me, as like, I listen to so much music on a daily basis. So when I see something or I read about something that is so similar to what I enjoy, I somehow listen with a closer ear and maybe a more judgmental ear, which could put you at a disadvantage. But I really truly enjoyed what I heard here. And I want to know from your perspective, do you find it difficult to like not necessarily live up to these monumental names, but to not create direct ripoffs of what you're hearing? Because from what I heard, 100% original, the influences are there, but never once was I like, oh, this leaned too heavy. How do you manage that?
Well, I'm really pleased to hear that, to be fair.
Yeah,
I,
seriously.
Yeah, I consider that a massive compliment. Because you're right. Like I do take inspiration from, bands that are legends, basically, that
Yeah.
have been around for decades, like Radiohead, for example.
Yeah. It's like how do you fill these shoes? You can't, so you have to
No.
do your own thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I don't really know how I do manage it. I even though these inspirations are there, I don't think about them too much when I'm actually creating my own thing.
Okay.
I think my music just naturally takes, inspiration from those places, but I
Right.
don't force it, if you see what I mean.
No, I get it. It's like this weird spiritual successor to what you're making. And it's like, yeah, I grew up listening to this stuff and I don't want to make the same thing, but I want to pay homage to these people that I love in a way that is genuine and real, which is such a fine line to do.
It's interesting, actually. There's a really wonderful thing that stuck with me for years that my guitar teacher said to me when I was quite young, maybe 13, 14, and
Mm,
I was talking to him about wanting to try and write my own stuff, and he said that the music that you listen to will naturally come out in things that you create.
that
It
makes sense.
you yeah, it's almost like you don't have to force it. It will just happen. So I think in that sense, I just sort of trust that, and I trust that you know it will sort of like guide me in a way.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you're so deep in the process, the sort of like alarm bells would have gone on. Because again, like no one's heard your music more than you. You've gone through it, I assume, hundreds of times with the edits and the production and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
But it's like if something was really too close, you would have known it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think so, definitely.
Yeah. Of
Yeah, because you know, I think that's what every artist wants, isn't they? Isn't it?
course.
Actually, like they want to sound like themselves,
Right.
and I kind of think that. Well, I just hope that I'm kind of like bringing elements in of like these inspirations that I have, but not
Exactly.
trying to like copy any one artist. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it's being tasteful about it, and that's what you've done.
yeah,
Um, Something that's always difficult for me, especially like in this modern era of production, where pop music isn't just pop, rock isn't just rock. How are you labeling yourself? Is there a correct answer in terms of genre?
do you know what? I don't even know. Because I have this problem every time I'm submitting music for distribution because it tells you, it asks, like,
Exactly. It's like,
put it in.
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it kind of changes, but I think generally I just put it under alternative.
Yeah,
I think I took that from just looking up, the bands that I love and everything, and
sure.
they're generally under alternative as well. So that's just how I
I
how I
and I think
okay.
that works because alternative, just the name in music has become this sort of like umbrella answer where it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, alternative, and then yeah, you can parse me out to whatever sub genre you want to call me. But at the
yeah,
end of the day, I think that is good because it sort of creates a conversation for people. Because people will listen to your music and say, oh, well, if you like this band, you'll probably like this band.
yeah.
And then it just, I think the more mystery behind you kind of has more conversation about you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even know what the genre alternative even means, to be
that's
honest.
that's what I'm saying is it's kind of a nothing word at this point.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean a damn thing. It's
exactly,
just a word. So
exactly.
I
Because like,
understand.
the 1975, for example, I know are under alternative as well, and they're like I'd consider
Yeah,
them more like a pop band, but they're
sure,
very
sure.
alternative as well. So it's just like you're right. It is just an umbrella word.
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you're talking to. Really, anyone could say anything, which is cool because again, it starts the conversation. You want people talking. So, have you had the opportunity to play live? And if not, is that something that you want to do?
I have. Uh, I haven't properly played in a venue since before COVID, to
Okay.
be fair. So it has been a while. There's a few reasons for that. One of them is that I feel I would need a band behind me,
Yeah, absolutely.
really bring my music like alive in a live space. So that obviously kind of complicates things in a way.
Sure.
But but one thing that I have actually started doing just this week is doing some live streams. So
Nice.
I do it from this room and doing live streams on TikTok. So I'm going to start experimenting with that because I can bring my full production in and have that as sort of like a backing so it sounds like a band.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's going to be something that I'm going to try and do on a relatively regular basis.
Cool. And I think that's kind of the best way to do it because it gives you the opportunity to experiment and try new things and get literal direct feedback from people, which is such an
Oh,
interesting thing to do because, you like a band, you wait 5 years for them to make a record. You don't really get any teasers, you don't get those demos, but it's like, hey, this is something I'm working on. What do you think?
I completely agree. And it's just a good way for me to practice as well.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, because, you know, when you're doing the studio stuff, you know, you get endless uh,
Yeah,
takes that you can do to try and get it right. And obviously, you don't
right.
get that live. So
Yeah.
it is nice to sit here and actually try and actually play my
That's what I'm
songs.
saying. Sometimes you need an unnecessary pressure on yourself
Yeah,
to sound better than you are, you know?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. um, so like I said, before or when we started this, the full EP comes out on the 18th, and there's a few songs that are out right now.
Yep.
Is there an unreleased song that you're most excited for people to hear?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, because there's only two more songs that will be
Sure.
new. So it's a five-track EP, three of them are already out. There's a song that I really like on there that's called "No More Friends," and a bit of a strange title maybe, but
Well,
I I think it's a really quite cool rock track. To be fair, it's got inspiration from. It's kind of inspired by bands like Elbow, for example.
sure,
If you
sure.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a song. It's a song in a way about um what happens, if you when you leave a relationship and you perhaps lose like friendships at the same time, and it's kind of like a song about that. So yeah, I'm just really happy with that song. To be fair, I just think it's
Nice.
you know come together pretty well.
Cool. And then is there a song on this EP that you felt gave you the most trouble to complete for whatever reason?
Oh yeah, it's already out, but it's the song "Uncertain Circumstances" that took me forever.
Why is that?
Um, I think it was the mixing, to be fair, because
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was um basically the main trouble that I was having was with the drum parts because there's actually two drum kits layered on top of each other,
Oh, nice.
and getting those because I kept it because I really liked the rhythms that it was creating, but it was difficult to get them to sit right together,
Sure.
so that took ages.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the
I,
feeling of actually finishing it must have been
yeah.
unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I am very very proud of that song. Um,
Nice.
I think that it's quite a good sort of like reflection, I guess, of like me as an artist at the moment, I suppose. So
Very cool. So we're recording this in the middle of February, which I'd still consider to be the beginning of the year. What does the rest of the year look like for you? Obviously, the big release coming in a couple days. What are
yeah,
some goals that you'd like to hit or some things that you're working on?
yeah. So what once this is out, I mean, as I say, one thing I'm going to be doing is doing some live streams and that
Right.
kind of thing. But then I've got some collaborations lined up as well. So I'm going to be collaborating with a couple of other artists,
Okay.
basically for the first time with my own stuff. So
Nice.
hopefully going to get some more releases out, later in the year.
Have you worked in that capacity before, like collaborations?
N- not with my own solo stuff.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have worked, with other musicians and
Sure,
everything.
sure.
But yeah, we're gonna do. There's one artist called Marta Purr. She's really brilliant. I love
Cool.
her. I love her music, and um, yeah, we're gonna potentially do a song each and then do like a split release. So yeah,
Sure.
that'll be that'll be pretty fun.
Very cool. I have a couple more questions for you. And
Yeah.
normally I wouldn't ask this, but I'm just going to ask because I know that we have similar taste in music.
Mhm.
I want to know like what some of your favorite records from last year were, just
Oh,
on a personal note.
oh man, they put me on the spot there.
Feel free to pop up the Spotify or the Apple Music or whatever
Yeah,
it is you're
it's
listening
possible
to.
to be. I'm just trying to remember like who released last year because I honestly like I get
You're
all of my
probably
youth.
in the zone of doing your own thing.
Yeah, I mean there were two Smile albums I remember now.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, so Wall of Eyes, I loved that album.
Yes, I agree. But you know what? It was obviously one of those records that took a little bit to grow instead
Yeah,
of being like, oh, immediately this is great. And I think it might be the best from them, in my opinion.
no, I agree. It is. I think it's a beautiful record. To be fair, I
Yeah.
like that, and I actually saw them live last year as well.
Oh,
That was
man.
brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Still on my list.
yeah,
Every time they come here, obviously it sells out within milliseconds. So I'm like, damn,
yeah.
okay, next time. But I'll take anything I can get at this point.
Um, I can't remember if Everything's album was last year, but Mountain Head, but that was a great
I
record.
think it was like it must have been like January or February of last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last year felt very long and very short at the same time. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
no, that record is killer.
yeah, definitely. Um,
Nice.
I loved Coldplay's album actually.
Oh,
I
okay, cool.
Yeah, I loved that album Moon Music. I thought that was really good. I thought it was one of their best in a while, to be fair.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, well, great answers. I'm not surprised. Josh, my last thing for you is basically, people are going to listen to this record, and I want to know, is there an opening message or something that you'd like to say to them before they listen for the first time?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I mean, the main thing I would say is that this is probably my most personal music that I've released so far,
Okay,
and in a way, perhaps my darkest sounding music so far.
interesting.
So, you know, if if you like something a bit more light-hearted, then you might prefer some of my earlier stuff that I released.
Sure.
So that's maybe something to bear in mind, but you know, I'm still very proud of it. So,
You should be. And listen, hey, it gives options for people because
yeah,
that's the beauty of music is what one person loves, the other person might hate, and it might swap around. So kind of gives you the chance to be like, this is what I'm capable of.
yeah,
If you like that, give me feedback on it.
yeah,
Nice.
definitely.
Um, Josh, truly, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. Before we wrap up here, I want to plug everything for you one more time.
Thank you.
Um, so, for everyone out there, if you didn't know, I'm speaking with Josh Westover. The EP will be out on Tuesday, February 18th. It is called Songs of Reflection. There are 3 songs out now, and we will have the links to everything so you can listen and share and follow along. I'm excited, man. I'm truly like, it's a pleasure to get to speak with people that make music that I enjoy. So I want to thank you for taking the time.
No worries, man. No, it's been great. It's been great. It's been great to meet you as well. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, that was fun. That I enjoyed that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm just starting mine right now, but time changes are
Yeah,
crazy. So
I'll be probably going to bed in about 2 hours. So,
enjoy. All right. Keep in touch. We will talk soon. And thank you so much again.
cheers, man. Thank you.
See you later. Bye bye.